Hi guys, and welcome to How Many Cozy Books Can I Finish Reading in the Span of 1 week? Because we are in the thick of fall right now. This is the best time of the year to be doing this, so let's just directly hop right into it. So now for context, I do have finals this week. They're divided into finals of my practicals, actually performing the kind of actions on the computer software, and then written finals, which will be in a month's time or so, because I'll be given like some break in the middle to study for it. And while I did technically have practical finals a couple of weeks ago, those were my mock-ups. These are the actual ones. So apart from everything with college and whatever, I am going to be the freest I am this week, apart from assignment submissions and stuff. So this is the perfect time to kind of lock in and get into trying to see how many of these cozy books I can get off my TBR, kind of listen to them, kind of read them in the midst of everything else that's going on. And let's make a dent in all of the books I actually want to read this fall at this point, because there's no better way of doing so. So apart from everything else I'll be doing this week for college or whatever, I do have a lot of free time on my plate and in my hands to be reading all of these books, which is why we're starting today. First day, second day of the week, it's a Monday. I haven't really decided what I want to pick up first, but I'll go look through my Goodreads, see what I'm in the mood for, and I'll update you all in a little bit, because I do need an audiobook desperately right now to finish a couple last things up, final touches on something for college, which is why we'll just get right into it. I'll see what I end up picking up and I'll update you in a little bit or so. So that's it. See y'all in a bit. It's gonna be such a fun one. I've been waiting so long to do this, and yeah, that's it. Bye. Okay guys, hi, it is now the next evening. I have come in to give you my first update because I managed to finish book 1 out, I'd say earlier this morning, and by morning I mean like 2-3ish in the morning, because I was busy working and time sped me by. I was listening to the audiobook on 4x and I managed to finish. So here we are. I basically managed to get done with It by Stephen King. And before anyone comes and yells at me, because I do believe this book is like over 1,000 pages long, I did not finish it in the span of 1 day. I've been reading this book for exactly a month and a day at this point, and up until recently only is when I got my library credit for the audiobook. Otherwise I was actually reading on Kindle, which is why it's taken me so long. And so I only had a little bit left, and coupled with the fact that I was listening on audio and on 4x speed, I managed to get done because it was going on in the background as I was working on the software, and you guessed it, I finished it. It wasn't a bad book necessarily, but I do have a few thoughts to give you, so here we are. Originally this was gonna be in a separate video of its own, wherein I'd make like a whole vlog documenting the fact that I'm reading my very first Stephen King book, because that feels like a monumental moment in my reading journey. Except as I started reading it, just to get like a basis of the gist, I already realized that it's gonna be a little hectic for me to keep up with, which is why it's not getting its own separate vlog. Because first I'll give you premise, then I'll give you my thoughts. Essentially, basically it follows the small town of Derry. It's like any other normal small town, except the one difference is a key difference. It's been haunted by this one nameless evil that's been going on for more than the lifespan of one specific human. So it's not human, it lurks in the sewers, in the gutters of Derry or whatever, and it basically does horrible things to people who manage to get themselves in positions wherein they can now be taken to the sewer or whatever, and then stuff happens there. I don't want to explain it in detail because I don't know how much gore YouTube will tolerate before I get blocked out or whatever, but here we are regardless. Basically, it's very commonly known as Pennywise the Clown, but it really depends on person to person what they actually see in their hauntings or whatever, because the shape apparently changes every time. So one kid saw it as a wolf, and then someone saw it as voices and blood dripping down the bathroom, and so there's a lot of things happening in it basically. But that's the one evil that's been haunting the town. It's uprooted many different lives, but not a lot of people essentially agree about it. The adults don't want to believe that it exists, and the children that know that it exists, they don't really have much to do that they can about it. So here we are. We followed 2 different timelines, past and present, wherein I think it was like 1958 or something like that, when we have a bunch of children and they finally decide that they want to conquer it, which is basically that clown, the terror lurking down below, because it's been going for centuries at this point and they're sick of it because it's ruined their lives. So they go into this like quest together down to actually go through doing away with it or whatever, and then as soon as that happens or whatever, they make a pact that if it comes back, in the future, one day down the line, they'll all come back to the town as their promise or whatever, and come back to vanquish and conquer it again, because they're not really sure if the first time worked. And so now present timeline follows them as adults coming back to Delhi to finally finish it for good or whatever, because it's back, and that's basically the storyline. For me personally, I will say Stephen King's story writing style is so interesting, because like all the specific characters, there's so many of them, but they're all fleshed out, which they have to be because it's over 1,000 pages. Even the story, it's really fleshed out, and it amazes me to think that he was able to come up with so much for one specific book, and how intricate and deep and crazy the world building in this is. But I will say, for me personally, the criticism is that as he's writing all of these fleshed out stories for all of these different characters, I still personally, do not come after me internet, feel like this book could have been cut short easily by 200-300 pages, and it could have done like with a good editing job, because personally, while he does write in detail, sometimes I feel like he gets lost in that detail and it goes a little too much into the person's backstory, and that kind of stuff is not really what I care about. I don't want such intricacies. I came for the horror storyline, and so that definitely took away from it, because by the end of it I was just happy to be done with the book, because I've been reading it for a month at this point, and nothing wrong with that. It's just the horror bits didn't really get me, because I lost myself in the book, not in a good way. I lost my attention as I was reading because of the extra details. Don't get me wrong, it was really good in the first 10%, but then after that it got to be a little too much, and as he would get lost in his writing, my attention span would literally just fly away, and maybe that's my fault or whatever, but I couldn't really help it. I wasn't able to focus on it, and then the horror bits weren't really hitting or whatever, because I just didn't find myself caring enough to see where it goes. So I will try more of his books definitely, because the concepts are so interesting. And listen, there are so many good things I hear about basically everything. I just read this book because I always believe in book before movie, and I've never watched the movie of it, so I wanted to get to it with this fall or whatever, and I figured I'd pick this up first. It definitely gives fall vibes if you want to read it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's cozy or whatever, but it does give you the kind of vibes you'd want curled up reading with the leaves falling out or whatever, and then there's crisp air and there's like a candle running in the background or whatever, and so those vibes are definitely there. It's just not something I would recommend otherwise personally, and so I'm just gonna give it 3 stars and we'll move on, because I am a little disappointed, not gonna lie, but I will get to some of his other books, maybe something that's shorter than 1,000 pages this time. I truly just took on the biggest giant I could and decided, hey, I'll be okay with it, but apparently not. So here we are. That was the first book I finished, and I think we can just stop on the update for that now, because I've been yapping for a little bit now. I am in the middle of a couple other audiobooks that I ended up starting after I finished this, because I am in a slump, keep that in mind, and I wasn't able to focus on one specific thing, and I have a lot of things to finish today. So I have high hopes on being able to finish at least another audiobook or so, because again, today on the commute, all I did was read and then read again. So we'll have to see, but basically I do believe we can finish at least a couple books by tonight, depending on my workload and depending on how much audiobook I can finish, which is why see y'all in a little bit once I go ahead and decide which book I want to read now and get that done. But yeah, we finished the first book for this video. I have been reading it for a month now, and I'm so grateful to be finally done, so I can move on to not bigger but better things, because I am done. I'm so sorry, people are gonna hate me for my opinion, but yeah, this maybe wasn't just for me specifically. So here we are, moving on to the next book. See you guys in a bit. Bye. Hi guys, so it's been a couple odd hours again since my last update. I did go ahead and finish the next book out, because I started last night, continued today on the commute, didn't have a lot left, and because I'm working on my project now, I finished. As the glue is drying, I figured I'd come give you an update before I go back to it. And if you see that my hands are dirty, please ignore. I'm working on that project, I can't really help it, but I did go ahead and finish the next book for the video. It's called Jasper, Vale, and so let's talk about that, because books come first. The reason I picked this up for the cozy books is because it's set in a small town, and any book in a small town is bound to be cozy. I will say I didn't enjoy this one, but it definitely gave me cozy vibes, and I'm happy I read it, because it follows Eloise from the Edens or whatever. It's the Eden series, and she is one of the sisters in the family. Throughout the series, you watch her kind of dedicate her whole life as her passion towards the Eloise in the family hotel or whatever, because she really just wants to own it, and she's waiting for her parents to realize that, hey, she's not the small kid, the small girl she used to be. She's grown up and responsible, and she could handle the capability of like having the hotel or whatever and running it by herself, which is why she's trying to make all these decisions that outshadow what she's done in the past, to kind of show that, hey, I'm capable, you can give it and trust me with it right now. Except one day out of nowhere, when she's building all of this trust and rapport, and it's getting close to, at least it looks like, the parents giving her the hotel, she comes back from a weekend in Vegas, except she accidentally marries the previous book, the guy Foster, his trainer, and suddenly now that she's done a reckless marriage, she doesn't really know what she's gonna say to her parents because she's lost her hotel 100%. They're not gonna see her as responsible anymore, but now because she'll come off as reckless, it's gonna be even worse. Except her fake husband Jasper kind of comes up with the plan that until they can annul the wedding or whatever, they won't really tell anyone about it. They won't tell anyone it was like a mistake, it was fake or whatever. They'll pretend it's real, and they'll keep like fake being married or whatever for the next like 3 months because he needs some fake dating going on, and she needs to show her family that this is the man I love, it happened anyway, and I'm still responsible for the hotel, and that's the whole point. And I feel like the concept is interesting enough, but every book in this series just keeps getting worse than the previous one or whatever. The only good one, or at least subpar good one, was the second one, Juniper Hill. But apart from that, sorry, what else am I supposed to say? Firstly, the story was so full of insta-lust. I'm sorry, can't handle that shit anymore. And then apart from that, just now, the ending, it was going alright. It could have concluded. Nope, apparently not. The last 10% pulled another Juniper Hill because we had like another 2016 Wattpad something happened in the book, I don't want to tell you, and that came out of nowhere. So because of the whole 360 it's taken, I wasn't enjoying the book, but because this added to the drama of it, since there was no like third breakup or whatever, I'm wondering if I want to give it like 2.5 or 3 stars or whatever I end up doing. So I'll put my final rating on screen, but I did read it and I am kind of holding back laughter at how ridiculous it got, but also it was an alright time, nothing too bad about it. Every few months I go back to the series, pick up the next book in it, kind of regret picking it up, but also it's like hilariously bad, which is why I keep reading in my opinion. So here we are. I will continue and finish the series at some point. It's just every few months. So I'll see you guys in a few months now next when I pick up the next book. But yeah, I finished this one out. I don't know what I want to read next, but maybe I'll pick up the other one I started last night because I said I started 2 and I wasn't able to decide which, and we'll see where it goes because I wanted the fake marriage trope so bad. My favorite romance ever, Marriage for One, has got fake marriage in it, but then this one just didn't do it for me. So here we are. Hopefully the next book that I pick up will do it for me and it'll give me those cozy vibes as well, because this gave it, but the story just wasn't it for me. And that's it. I'm gonna go back to my project because I have so much to finish tonight, and hopefully that audiobook will be enough for tonight, but we shall see. Otherwise I'll finish on my commute tomorrow and I'll come update you whenever I do. But that's progress. We are reading a bunch more books now, and let's see how many we can actually get done this week. Hi guys, it's now the next day. I have gone ahead and finished another book, but before anything, if I look half dead, it's because I was awake till 5 in the morning yesterday getting my shit done. I did come back today and nap or whatever the entire evening away, but I still feel like sick or whatever. I feel like the early signs of a cold coming on. I'm still gonna eat ice cream later, but regardless, I'm not feeling so great, which is why here we are. I'm not really gonna do anything to fix it because there is nothing I can do at the moment. So moving on to updates, basically just ignore the fact that I look a little crazy right now. Yesterday, because I stayed up, I managed to finish another book, and then I started 2 more books because that's the way my slump works. I finish one book, but then I start multiple after, which is why they keep piling on. And hopefully I will get to those 2 other books tonight as well, because I do have a lot of recording I need to do. Maybe sit up till 5 in the morning again, who knows, because I don't want to do it, but I don't really have a choice. And because tomorrow is the last day of term before they're gonna give us a break because we have our final written exams. So these were like actual practicals. The written stuff, we need time to study for it, and so we'll be getting a long enough break that I can do other things in the middle and then study towards the very end of the break. We'll go figure all of that out. Basically, I just have to worry about tomorrow's stuff and then I'm done for the next like 1 month at least, which is why here we are. Hopefully I will get those other books done. But to update you on the one book that I did get done, it's called the Cocoa Spiced Cafe, something like that. I don't know why I always get confused with these titles specifically, because there's so many at this point with the same sort, wherein the cover is always like a cute outdoor setting that gives you the seasonal vibes, and then the titles, they all just sound the same and they mush into one big pile. But here we are. Basically I finished the second book in the Maple Falls series. It was again sent my way. It isn't even out yet. and here I am to come in to criticize it or whatever. But regardless, thank you to the publisher for my audio arc. I ended up listening on NetGalley, so I could do only 3x speed as my highest. They don't let you go beyond that, which is why it took a little longer to get through with, but I'm happy regardless that I'm done, because I knew after I finished the first book that I will continue the series. It's just I wasn't sure when, and this being sent my way was the perfect opportunity, because I didn't have to worry about when I'm going to pick it up on my own terms. I just saw it and I was like, okay, I'll start it anyway because I have it now. Basically, it's a Christmas holiday romance. I don't know why I'm doing it this year, wherein I'm just reading random Christmas books out of nowhere. We're still in the thick of fall and I read a Christmas book, so don't come after me. But it's definitely cozy vibes, so you can't yell at me either, because I am following the video idea. It follows Cassidy, who is like the most Christmas loving person ever, and Liam, who actually lost someone like in the past or whatever on Christmas Day, which is why he associates the holiday with heartbreak and loss and everything he's ever been hurt with before. They are both participating in the local town competition to win the best decorated shop, because Liam, even though Christmas hasn't been so great for him in the past, he wants to win the cash prize to kind of fund his family's llama sanctuary. And then on the other hand, Cassidy, she's one of the newcomers in town. She wants to set up and establish her business, but also she wants to contribute to a hospital, because she again has like a different past also like Liam, but the tragic heartbreak hasn't like pulled her down or whatever. So she wants to establish her chocolate shop, and so to make a name for herself and also to donate the money, she wants to win. Except as they start clashing heads together, they start falling for each other despite their opposing like personalities or whatever. But in the midst of everything else, there's someone called the gingerbread jerk who's kind of going ahead and ruining all the shop decor, so they have to team up to kind of find that person as well, because they don't want Christmas spirit to be destroyed by whoever. And it's a very interesting story. Again, it reminds me also of the other books I keep mentioning, especially the Dream Harbor series if you've read it and you like it, because don't come after me, but these books are only good for the seasonal vibes and the small town quintessentialness, because I'll be so for real, the romance, again, insta-lovey. I will continue the series 100% at this point. I've already made up my mind, just like Dream Harbor, only for the seasonal vibes and because the little drama that you get to see in the town is really funny to me, especially between two characters, Mrs. C and Mrs. Bishop, if you've read the books. But otherwise, sorry, the romance, it always misses because they just fall in love on the first page or whatever, and that's the way it goes, and nothing wrong with that, but it's just not my cup of tea. So I'm going to cut the review short. Basically, I didn't have the best time because they fell in love on the first page and it just kept dragging out, and they were talking about all these like huge things and things they want to do together, except they've only known each other like 2 weeks or whatever, which is, I don't know, a little wild to me. But here we are. Regardless, I'm done reading it. I'm giving it 2 stars. I did enjoy the vibes though, and now I'm excited for Christmas because I'm reading Christmas books early. Shouldn't be doing that, but I can't stop myself. So here we are. I am done with the book. I will go ahead and now continue the other 2 books I did start, and hopefully by tomorrow when I come in to update, I should be done with both, because keep in mind I have to stay up till 5 again today, and then tomorrow I have quite the commute on the way home and on the way there as well. So we'll see. Regardless, I'll catch up with you all in a bit now because I have to go work now, and so see you all in a bit. That's it. Bye. Yeah, bye. I don't even know what I'm doing. My brain's fried. Okay guys, so it's been a couple weeks since my last update to you. For some reason, the last couple things I said, those clips are just gone. So here I am to catch you back up on everything that you've missed, because it's my personal fault. I think I deleted them when I was deleting last week's vlog footage after I was done posting or whatever. So unfortunately that happened, but here we are to catch you up on 3 books worth of reading progress, because I finished 3 more and the footage is just gone, except the last book because I never came to like update about that. But regardless, here I am anyway. Basically, I think the last time I came in and spoke to you was a Wednesday. I was supposed to come in on Thursday. I did, but that clip's gone. And basically what I ended up doing was sitting up till 5 in the morning, finishing my workout despite not feeling so great that day. And I completely locked in. When I tell you my productivity chart was like off the roof or whatever, that's the way it was. So I started and finished listening to one of the books out of the 2 I started or whatever, and then I started another. So to catch you up, basically I ended up finishing out Serenading Heartbreak, the first out of those 3 books that I need to update you on. It's basically like a love triangle romance wherein she has her first love, who is like this rugged lead singer or whatever of her brother's band. He's her brother's best friend. She's always loved him right from the very beginning. So it's like childhood friends to lovers, they're like soulmates or whatever. Except he's an alcoholic. So you can definitely imagine where the relationship goes from there. And it doesn't really work out. Then she's got her second love, who is like this baseball player, and he's arrogant and he's cocky, but he's also smooth talking, and he's also in love with her, but at the same time it's the sort of best friend kind of love wherein it's friends to lovers. So they established friendship first and it went from there, and now she's comfortable with him because she knew him platonically, and then she's explored romantic options, and so it's just like a really sweet, nice kind of love. Except the problem with both of these loves is not the fact that she's had two loves. You can have obviously two different people you love or whatever, except she loves them at the same time. So she's harboring feelings for her first love and her second love, and the options are still open for her, and because she's so indecisive, she doesn't literally choose till the last page. So here we are. That's basically the storyline. I feel like personally the problem with this book was that she chose the wrong guy, because every time something happened the toxic one would come up, and I personally feel like the author was biased in favor of one person. Right from the very beginning you see the vision, you know who she's gonna end up with. You still end up rooting for the other guy because he is so much better. He is not toxic, he is sweet, he is nice, he is everything you'd probably look for in a partner. Except she ends up with the toxic one, and with all the events that take place in it, a surprise trope thrown in at the end, which is horrible. Honestly, I'm just trying to understand what went wrong here, because obviously the author does feel biased towards that one character that you know she's gonna end up with right from the beginning. But at the same time, is the girl so stupid that she just doesn't realize red flags? Because the one she ends up with, walking red flag. So all I'm gonna say is, I hated this book. I genuinely didn't like the direction it took, and I didn't like certain things that came up in it, the way it was like portrayed or whatever, because I definitely feel like it could have had like a better job, and she could have definitely chosen someone who was a lot nicer to her, but at the same time she also was indecisive, stringing two guys along, so I don't really know if I want to support. And if you want like a quick comparison, if you've read or watched the Some I Turned Pretty series, she's like a more toxic Belly, and if you already cannot imagine Belly just as it is, she is so much worse, this girl Stevie. So here we are. I hated this book. I ended up giving it 2 stars. So happy to be done, so happy to never look back, and that's about it. Basically my reading slump is coming back in full strong force because books are not that great anymore. Next book I ended up picking up was a thriller, because at that point in the night I did finish this one, but at the same time I was so cooked, my brain at least, from having read this, that I wanted something that like hold my attention, and the other one out of the 2 I had originally picked up was a thriller, so it felt perfect. I didn't end up finishing it, but I was listening to it late in the night or whatever until like 4 or 5 in the morning again, so I did get some like decent progress in on it. The next day on my commute I did continue listening, didn't finish it then, I finished it that evening. So Thursday, after I ended up getting back home, napped the entire day, but then after I woke up I had a couple more errands to run, and I finished it during that. And basically I think it's called A Flicker in the Dark. This one's really popular and viral online. I've been seeing it literally everywhere pop up, so it made sense that I'd pick it up finally to get to it, because I've been hearing it getting compared to like Frida McFadden books, and we all know that those are like popcorn thrillers, not anything great, but they're fun to read and speed through with, and you know, if they hit, it's like hit or miss, and this was definitely those vibes, because if you don't guess the plot line, if you do not guess the plot twist, this could be potentially the best thriller you've ever read, but at the same time I guessed it. So for context, basically it follows our main character Chloe. She's like a psychologist, therapist, something like that. I started and finished this 2 weeks ago, so keep in mind my memory isn't like pristine, but basically what's going on in her life is that when she was younger or whatever, her father was arrested as a serial killer who would kidnap these young girls or whatever and leave behind specific clues. So essentially it was traced back to her father or whatever, because he had taken some of their jewelry and kept it with him as kind of like a souvenir after killing them or whatever in the most grotesque ways. And so he was arrested, and then she's lived her life as normally as she can from there. Fast forward now 20 odd years later to present timeline, she's getting married. She finally feels like her happily ever after is like closer than ever. She can reach it, and you know, she's finally getting everything she's ever wanted in the most normal possible way, because keep in mind that altered her. Except now the problem is something happens and a local teenage girl goes missing, and suddenly she's transported her memories back to what happened with her father when she was younger, and she suddenly thinks her father is back, except he's still in jail because the killings or whatever, they match up. The jewelry pieces are again getting taken as souvenirs, and the way it's done specifically feels like it's got his fingerprints on it, except he's in jail. So now she's wondering if it's like a copycat killer or what's really going on with that, and that's basically the plotline of this book. Then after that, another girl goes missing, and it's one of her clients or whatever, because like I said, she is a child psychologist, and that starts disturbing her because now it starts feeling like the killer, who she already feels like she's onto, is leaving these traces behind for them to know that they are kind of targeting Chloe or whatever. Just let her know that, listen, hey, these are happening, and it's kind of happening in a way that only you will be able to recognize the pattern, except when she goes to the cops, they think she's crazy or whatever. So that's basically the entire thing going on. I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but basically she feels like she's indirectly being targeted by the killer or whatever, in a way that the killer's trying to say that I'm the copycat or whatever, except I know you are the daughter of the main guy or whatever, the killer, so I'm just gonna like copy. I don't know if I'm making sense, but basically the copycat is leaving clues behind only for her to understand, and now it's up to her to kind of figure out who the killer finally is. And I will say, if you read this book, there is a very high possibility of you catching who the killer is within the first like 20% because that's happened to me, considering the fact that I was listening to this on 4x speed while running other errands at like 4-5 in the morning, and I still guessed it. There is a very high chance that you probably can as well, because it doesn't take like a lot. It's not like a huge brain game if you think about it. It's kind of very obvious from the very beginning. So here we are. I did guess it. If I wouldn't have guessed it, this would have made for such a good thriller, but because I guessed it, guess who's developing the smartest brain cells when it comes to all of this? Maybe I should join the police force, who knows? Private detective, that's me, because I don't know how it happened, but I guessed it. So definitely gave good like gothic, almost like atmospheric vibes, but at the same time, because I guessed it, it kind of fell short. So I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I'm happy I had a fun time reading or whatever, but if I wouldn't have guessed it, this would have been so much higher on the chart or whatever, because then it would have been a little crazy to come up with, but I did. So moving on now to our final book, because this one, it was alright. It was fine to read between other books or whatever, and listen, it kept me entertained. That's the only thing that matters after the mess that the previous book was. So here we are. For the last book, I was reading on Kindle. I did start at some point on my commute again, but then I never told you about it because the clip is gone. So basically, I ended up picking up the book Normal People. I picked it up because it was in my 25 books to read in 2025 list in my reading journal, and I just didn't know which vlog I could fit it into, because the remaining books that I have on that list, I think there's like 8 left or whatever, and I have a good chance, a good feeling that we're finishing them all before the end of the year. There's still some sort of possibility of me being able to finagle them into some kind of reading vlog and then read it with y'all. This one, I just had simply no idea, so I figured might as well just read it during this week, because it was still Thursday at that point when I picked it up during my commute and then put it down and figured I'd come back home and read or whatever, because I read multiple books at the same time. So if it makes no sense to you, I'm sorry that the timelines are overlapping. I can't do much. But also the vlog was gonna go all the way up to Saturday, maybe even Sunday. It wouldn't really matter to me because Sunday is like my editing and posting day anyway, and if I have like a little bit of reading time, I generally take it for the reading. And so to keep me entertained from all the way from Thursday, because I finished our previous book on Thursday, so Thursday night, full of Friday, whole of Saturday, and then maybe half Sunday or whatever depending on my editing, I needed another book, and I figured might as well just pick this one up. It basically follows these 2 characters, Connell and Marianne, and you kind of watch them from the very beginning as they go and live out half the span of their, like, I guess teenage lives. I don't really know if that makes sense, but basically at the beginning they're in high school. Connell, he's like, I think one of the soccer team guys or whatever, and he's really popular. He's like one of the most beloved in the entire school, and everyone's obsessed with him. He's high on the social hierarchy chart. He's got the best social life ever, and that's basically Connell. On the other hand, we have Marianne. She's a social nobody. Everyone kind of distances away from her. She's like not just at the bottom of the chart, but she's almost like the kind of person people are disgusted by just keeping relations with, because if they keep relations with her, then their own social chart ranking or whatever will tank, because no one likes her for some reason. She comes across as pretentious. And now the relation between the 2 of them is the fact that Connell's mom actually works at Marianne's house. So every day after school, when he has to go pick his mom up from Marianne's, they kind of end up meeting, and there's like this small sort of connection that forms, except he cannot tell tell anyone about it because then his own social standing will go down the gutter because no one likes associating with her. So in secret, behind closed doors, they start like a relationship. They start falling for each other or whatever, except it goes from there. Now fast forward to college, they've both gone to Dublin or something like that, and here tables are flipped because now Marianne is the socially popular one or whatever because it's like a crowd of rich people and he just doesn't find his place in it. She, however, because she's always been rich growing up or whatever, she's accepted instantly. She's at the top of the chart. Now she's taken Connell's spot, and he just doesn't know who he is anymore. He is a social nobody. He is not really associated with by people or whatever. He just has no connections, and now they keep meeting each other or whatever. They're in the same circle of friends almost, except he's still like an outsider and she is his link into the group. Except again, when they start things up from there, it kind of alternates between these periods of wherein they're obsessed, totally in love or whatever, and then these other periods wherein they just cannot communicate, so things go down the hill for them, and it basically continues in that sense. Now you do also during the college days get to watch Marianne as she kind of goes on this path of self-destruction, and Connell as he's still trying to figure out his own identity or whatever and going into this like almost identity crisis situation wherein he's losing himself and he just cannot find himself or whatever. I don't know if I'm making sense, but recent events trigger stuff in him that is also causing self-collapse, and you kind of have to watch the two of them as they kind of try to be each other's savior, but also try to see what extent they would go and how far they take it to save the other. And that's basically the premise or whatever. Online I did see a lot of people hate this book, and if you hate this book, I'm just genuinely gonna say it, you should kind of be grateful that you do, because that means you cannot relate to it. Because for someone who relates to this book, I don't know how the author did it. Her writing style is weird in the sense that there's no like apostrophe marks. I feel like that's the one thing everyone discusses or whatever, and that's the biggest like deal breaker for anyone. But I feel like that genuinely just displays their poor communication skills between the two of them and how bad it is. Because as someone who was able to relate to this book, I feel like because of the lack of apostrophe marks, you cannot see when a certain thing is said, whether it's actually said or it's said in their minds or whatever, and the way that affects the two of their relationship. They need to get better at communication, but at the same time, if you've gone through something like this, you understand exactly the way certain intricacies of it work. And I just don't know how the author did it, but it feels like part of her reached into the deep recesses of my mind, clawed her way through and dug back whatever she could find and put that on paper. Because I don't know if I've ever related to a book this strongly. It's so weird because I was reading some bits and I had like a visceral reaction because of how hard I could relate. And so you should definitely be grateful if you cannot relate to this, because if you can, I feel so sorry for you. I just don't know what else to say, because the way things take place in this book, it doesn't sound like a lot, but the kind of communication that is the key factor in it, I don't know how to explain it to you. The way it was portrayed was just so well done. I don't think I've read a literary fiction book as profound as this one, because the themes in it are so subtly well done that if you look into it deeper, obviously you'll understand the blending connection. But regardless if you do or you don't, the communication is the main part, and the way it plays out, I don't know how to explain it to you. If you read it, it's like a whole experience if you understand it, and that's when you'll truly get what I'm trying to say. But truly, hats off to the author. Deserves like an award for this book because it's so good, and now I cannot wait to watch the adaptation, because I do believe it's like a show or something like that, because the way it was done, I cannot explain it to you, but something about this book, it hits so hard and so deep. And just pick it up if you haven't already. It definitely will be a hit or miss kind of book, and if you haven't gone through some sort of miscommunication in any relationship in your life, I probably don't think you'll be able to relate. But if you can relate to this book, I don't know if you'll ever read like a better book in your life, and I'm still stuck on that. So here we are. I cannot wait to go back and reread it at some point and look back on it, because I don't think a book has ever changed me the way this one has. But I'm still gonna give it 4 stars, because there were frustrating moments wherein I was, again, struggling to understand what's going on, but at the same time understanding on a soul deep level, because I have gone through shit like this before. So I don't know how to explain it to you, but maybe because it was too close to me, that's the reason why I gave it 4 stars. I definitely do think if I reread this when I get into my 20s or whatever, this could be 5-star material. But so far, I'm so happy with the way it played out. I'm so happy I actually ended up reading it, and I'm so happy I'm not in the group of people who hate it, because regardless of whether you can relate or not, I feel like it's a great piece of literature that if you understand it, it truly is such a great, amazing book, and they just don't write books like that anymore. So here we are, 4 stars, and now we finally reached the end of the vlog. these were all the books I ended up reading that I wasn't able to update you on. And now that I finally have given an update, I feel so much nicer because now I haven't edited anything, so I need to go get on top of that, edit the entire vlog out, and then get ready to post it tonight. So regardless of everything, we've reached the end of this vlog. If you guys had a fun time coming along with me despite the chaotic updates, please like, comment, share, subscribe. YouTube things, you know how to do them. And I'll see y'all hopefully in next week's video coming very, very soon. It's a very exciting one if I do say so myself, because I'm not having the best time recording it, but y'all will probably enjoy my reactions to the books in it because they are some viral ones. So keep your eyes tuned for those. But basically, that's it. I'll see y'all in next week's vlog coming very, very soon. And until then, take care, stay safe. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And that's it. Bye.